Well, Joseph, you are well, let's start again.
Let's do this. You got it. Hmm.
Well, Joseph, you are our artist of the month. So every month at Art Spark Texas, we highlight an outstanding artist whose work has embodied creativity, resilience, and the transformative power of the arts. And I think you embody all of those things.
Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. I'm happy to be here with you. Thank you.
So, can you go back in time when you were a little boy and growing up in Uganda and you wanted to start dancing? Or when did you want to start dancing? I don't even know if you wanted to dance as a little boy. How did you get introduced to dance?
Well, it's really an interesting story because sometimes I look back and I'm also surprised with my life too, because I never had a dream of dancing, to be honest with you. Like
Huh.
one thing I can always remember when I look back, I was always this kind of child who loved to question everything, like things that I didn't understand. I was always curious about so many certain things, and I think this was a very good thing that helped me to come up to so many things. For example, when I was growing up, certain things about access and how people with disabilities were treated, the awareness, like this didn't make sense to me. Like I felt there is always a missing link. And as soon as I finished school, I quickly wanted to leave this village, the small village where I grew up. And I wanted to find green pastures, let me call it like this. So it was a slap for me in the face because, after school, you still have guidance with your guardians and parents. And when you move out there, everything was huge and new to me. Everything was happening so fast. Like, this is not the world I expected because in my little mind, I thought like I'm in a small circle where I'm missing so much things and all the curiosity. I was like, I'm being limited to so much that is out there. So when I moved out of this small village and I moved out of my parents' home, it surprised me to see like actually things are even worse, like more worse than what was happening in my small group, in my small home. So I started getting more curious. Like now life started being real that I need to start to look for jobs. I need to work. I need to bring food on my table. I need to pay my rent and all these things. And then I started to like, okay, I had started and I knew my English. So I was like, I'm like, I can do this. I can find a job for myself.
You're ready to take over the world.
I'm like, I got this. This one challenge is not gonna bring me down. No, 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 no. So, then I started looking for the jobs. And the reason why I say it was a slap in the face, like I started with so much energy, like going looking for applications, asking some close relatives what I've studied because I did computer science. Then like they recommended to different companies, and then I'm walking to these places and I put my resume and like, oh, this is good though. You've been performing very well in school. But the thing is, we can't take you because it's your crutches and like, but okay, okay, maybe this is not place for me. So this is how it all started. Then I started pushing to the first place, to the second place, 10th, and then I started really losing the energy. I realized because I was like, I'm not giving up, but then I was getting the same answer. No one was commenting about my studies, like
Your
my grades,
resume
my
or yeah, your
resume,
grades, yeah.
on like. No, because of my disability. So this opened up a different world for me. I'm like, now this is how the world thinks, because what didn't make sense to me, it was like computer science. Like, I'm gonna do things on a computer, like programming and all these things. Like, you just have to sit. You don't have to carry someone on your back. So this kept on happening, and it showed me how people are less aware about their disability. And I'm talking about the place, like the positions in the government where we think people are more informed, or these are people who are ruling the country. So it showed me, if the higher places, higher positions, they have this less awareness about disability to them, then it's even worse from down.
Yeah, like in the community level, it's even worse.
Exactly. It's very, very worse in the community level. Then I had a friend who was very close to me. He said that, Joseph, you've really tried. I'll make this really very fast because it's a long story.
Oh, but we have time.
So he said, but Joseph, I know you've tried so many times, but I would love you to invite you to where I work and just spend a day with me. Just visit me at my workplace. So just to give you a small hint, like when I tried and tried, things had already failed, but I felt like I need to do something, otherwise I need to survive. And then I went and I did a course of crafts, like creating jewelry and earrings, like necklaces, all this. I did a short course, and then I started doing it, like practicing it at my place, like, and selling it to the small close community members. So when this person invited me, they asked me, what do you do at the moment? So I showed them my crafts that I was doing, and with all this. And then it's like, okay, this is what we do. So it was an organization, I remember. It was called Lash. And they created their own community where they live with and without people with disabilities, you know. So and their aim with this organization, and actually this is an international organization, it's all over the world. So what they create is, they create a community where they try to teach people with disabilities, but they try to teach them the way they can understand, not the way they know. Does that make sense? Like, they
Hmm.
try to teach people with disabilities the way they can understand. Like, they find a way, how better can we communicate with this person in a different way, not a way that is already there. Like, this is how the system puts things, that this is
Oh,
what people are supposed to learn.
okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's an organization that supports people with disabilities to find out their strengths and ways of
Yes,
creating and communicating and
in their own
learning and
way.
their own way. Yeah.
Yes. So at the end of the day, he asked me, what did you see here? And I said, I saw people with disabilities like me. I say, okay, but would you love to spend another day here? And like, I don't know. I was, because when you've just left school, you're like, I really have to do something in this world.
And you
So
probably had a different picture in your head how your life was gonna go.
exactly, so I felt like this wasn't a place for me. And he told me, like, you know what, go back home, think about it, and come back on Wednesday and visit me. He always invited to me. And then when I went back for the second time, actually I went on lunchtime. Every lunchtime, because these were kids with cerebral palsy, like spinal bifida, different disability conditions. I came at lunchtime and they were supporting them. Like some couldn't eat by themselves, so they were helping them to eat. And I always tell this story. Like I felt uncomfortable because it was, yeah, I love to be honest with you. Because I was like, oh, this is because what made me uncomfortable, like the person who was supporting to share the food, like was using the same fork, like, and so I was like, okay. So they asked me to eat because they eat in the same like dining table, and I even refused to eat because it was a new community, a lot is happening, and and then he told me, okay, one thing, I'm gonna give you two kids. You teach them some crafts and to do all what you do, your beadwork, and like, okay, I'd love to do that. And then I started working 2 days. I didn't know that I was being hired. So, of course, it was challenging, and because it was my first time, like I didn't have any experience how to work with people with disabilities, and I was like, no, this is how it should be. No, 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 no. So, but with this organization, they start to give you some trainings about, and then they give you actually an understanding, like with this kind of disability, because I have a disability, but that like I didn't really know, like going really deep how their muscles work, how. So they give you all these trainings, like professional trainings. So the more I went into these close trainings and getting close to know this different kind of disability, I was like, this is actually interesting. I realized that these people actually need me because I'm the only one who can teach them this kind of skill. So then they were like, how about we add you 3 days? Because we feel like you have so much to teach us, and then you're here for a few days. Before I knew it, I was working there a week, for like full time. And then the more time I spent with these people with disabilities, I realized these are the honest creatures on this world. Because if they don't like you, they'll tell you I don't like you. If I liked that, I love that. And before I knew it, I was volunteering to help some eat. And to me, because why am I telling you this, Silva? Like, the more you stay close to someone and the more you start to understand something, it makes sense, and you realize that it's not even contagious. It's not like this terrible.
Right.
I told you the story about my first time. I wasn't feeling uncomfortable to eat close to them. But before you knew it, I was volunteering to even help them eat. And I was using the same fork too. Because like this is a person I know, is not contagious. Like he's close to me. Like, what, come on. It's like the same food. I mean, it's because you get really to know that this is also a human being, and it's lovely. We have memories, we've shared moments and stories. So this is how it all started. And then I worked there for 1.5 years, something like that.
Wow.
Yes. And it became a family to me because they
Yeah.
they create a community. They even give you a close contact child, like young adult, who is you're responsible for. Like when he gets sick, it's you to report, like my son is
Okay.
sick, and like you really, it gets this close. You start to care for this person like as your own child. So I love that. And then on Saturdays I was still taking my crafts to town to sell my crafts, like the ones that are, because I did mine and I was teaching there. So on Saturday I was taking it to the town, to the city. So this is where I met a person who told me, he was an athlete. He came to
Okay.
buy for their girlfriend some earrings, and he told me, oh, you have strong arms and you should visit. We do wheelchair basketball, and it's fun. You would love it. So I asked for, it was always a Thursday. I asked for an off to check it out. with all this curiosity, what was this game? And it was fun. Of course, they were playing basketball in wheelchairs. It gets aggressive, you push each other, but it was another kind of community out there that I was like, wow, this happens in my country. So from there, this is and at the organization, they're like, if you need a day off to race, you can always take a Thursday. So through doing this basketball, I'm trying to show you the link how it came to the dance. Through all this basketball, then I got into wheelchair racing, which really caught my mind. Because, I love doing things where I'm in control and I'm the one who's like, I stop myself, I tell myself to go. Like, I don't say I don't want, like, don't think I don't want to work with a team. I would love to. I really love to work with a team. But there is this feeling when you're racing or you're running, people who run, like you get that feeling when you even can't breathe, but you feel like I still want to go more. I always loved that. I loved that feeling during racing. And I started doing that, practicing the racing and putting all my efforts after work, like, weekends, and it started making me famous because I started racing at the national level. Then I started
Wow.
bringing like national medals. Then I was invited to Kenya to do an international racing. And then this one made me very, very famous that they started putting me on billboards in Uganda. Yeah, it was a big moment for me. But as you know, like sports is not more like supported in Africa. So I was happy to be where I was. But then it brought more challenges because I was known by everyone in the country, but then I had no money. Like, being famous for just like the name, like I don't know if this makes sense, but it changes your position when you're this famous. You go to the market and people expect you to pay even more. Like they charge you
Um,
because you're on TV or everywhere. And then like guys, I'm normal. I'm like I don't have any money. But so it brought me to a different position where most of people with disabilities started approaching me, telling me their issues. Like it put me, I would say it brought me to a spotlight.
yeah, you became the role model for
Yes.
the poster boy for disability.
So through these people coming to me to share, something opened my mind. I realized that everyone who comes to me, they just need someone to talk to, someone who understands what they're going through.
Mm.
So what I did in my position, I hired a place and I was gathering with like I did it I said, every time you meet me, we shall always meet the last Saturday of the month, every last Saturday of the month. So everyone who wants to talk to me, I'm available. Like it was
Ah.
overwhelming. Like, I still had dreams. I was a lot, and then people are putting a lot on me. So I brought it to one day. Like, this is the day you all get to talk to each other so people could share. And this is the beautiful thing I will always carry on me. People would share, they tell you their stories, and to me I realized that the more you listen to someone else, there's the way how it makes you even stronger. Like, I think I'm being weak, because I've had someone is
Ah.
challenge, and where I come from, actually, my family drives me to work, and I'm complaining, because all these people with disabilities could meet. They're from different like backgrounds. So it kept on growing even bigger. But now this brings me to what changed my entire life. One of these gatherings, there was a young, beautiful lady who had like cerebral palsy. She came and she was keeping quiet all the time. And when we asked her, going to share, and she's like, I really love what you do, Joseph. but I have, my body's different. I can't do basketball. You always motivate us to go out of our house, do something. I can't do all this. I can't do wheelchair racing. I'm not strong like you. I can't, at least could you, because you're more exposed, you've traveled to Kenya, of course it was East Africa. Have you seen anything I can do in my potential that will bring joy to me, you know? And I was like, that's a good question, but I don't have the answer now. But I'll keep you in mind, you know. So I went back to my usual, like, yeah. I went back to my usual line and work, training, you know. So since I was famous, there was a workshop that came from Sweden about dance. Yes, the lady.
From Sweden?
Yes, from Sweden. The lady was called Monica. So it was a big event that they wanted it to be in the news for some reasons. So they had to attract attention. And through doing this, they had to invite different people, and they invited a famous wheelchair racer to be at the event.
Okay.
Yeah, they didn't like, their invite wasn't like, just be there. You don't even have to attend, just be there, and like you are there, you can stay at the back, you know. It was like they just wanted me to be there. So I was there. I also didn't mind. They only wanted my presence, but the workshop started and the lady was explaining. But what I still remember at this day, she was making beautiful turns while closing her eyes and making all these movements, you know. And I'm like, look, this person is having fun with their body. This is what the other girl can do. So I really stayed. I even went from where I was sitting, I came to the front because I was very curious what she's doing. Like, what the fuck are you doing? No, but yeah, so after the workshop, I walked to this lady and I asked, what are you doing? What's that? What is it called? And she's like, actually, there are people, because when she looked at me, she was like, actually, there are people with disabilities who are doing contemporary dance. This is contemporary dance. Then she gave me a site where I could know more about what's contemporary dance. And she gave me some links to the schools. There were 2 schools in Uganda that were teaching ballet. So they thought these people will have more information about that. So of course, to take it back to the other beautiful girl, I needed to first understand it because it was hard to explain. I couldn't tell someone make dance, you know. This thing needed a name. So I started digging. I started going to these schools, and the first ballet school, of course, and this is the only school that was in Uganda. They told me we can't take you because of course you can't dance ballet. Like, look at you, you're crutches. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. And in this digging, this is when I landed to Oscar, who told me, no, I don't teach people with disabilities. I know what you're asking, and I know what you really want to learn, but I don't, but please, you can always come to my class and stay and see what you can do with what I teach others, like the body about. And this is the biggest gift he gave me, just letting me in to be around them, because I kept on asking and learning from it. What is this move called? And oh, then they also gave me, go and read this document. No, this is what, read this book. And this is how I started getting information. And the more I kept on digging, actually, I fall in love with that. I found it very interesting. So I did this for a while, and then what I did was I changed my gathering. I said, now there is something new I'm bringing. I'll invite a teacher to help us out because I don't have enough information. But Now we dance first together, then we share at the end. And this is how it all started.
Oh,
This
wow.
is how I ended up in dance. And because the more I kept on digging, the more it got more interesting. The more I realized that, wow. Before I knew it, I was invited to Germany. This was my first 2018. This was my 2017. Yes, this was my first biggest invite. And then I went and I did a course of contemporary dance contact improvisation. Then it got even more interesting, and guess what? After a few months later, it even started paying. Well, this is how I ended up in a dance. Long story. Click.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And it took your breath away and you never looked back. You've been in
Yep.
dance ever since.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like racing. I have to stop here. Yeah. Just to say, I continued working with the other group because I even changed and became there. I started bringing dance to them too. Like I told them there's something interesting I found out. I brought dance to them, but then when I started traveling, and of course it was work, I couldn't like balance it. But up to date, I'm still a family to that home. They always invite me, and I always go there and take some, when I'm in Uganda, take some dance classes there. So yeah, it changed my life.
That's so wonderful. So you went to Germany in 2017,
Yes.
and I feel like we met 2021
Yep.
for the first time.
Yes.
And I feel like at that point you were feeling like, oh, I'm doing this alone. I don't know where to get more information and where to go next. And you were considering applying for the school in Finland, and we talked to all about these things. And you were in a panel about inclusive dance pedagogy because you're like, it's hard for you because you feel like you're the only one in Uganda to kind of do it, but nobody teaches you. Do you
Yeah.
remember that moment?
Yeah. Of course I do. I have all these memories in me because from 27, because I think it was end of, I'm very sure it was end of 2017. Uh, from that moment to 2021, like, because like I told you, the more I got more like absorbed by this dance, the more I got more eager to know it because I landed to some things that didn't make sense. And since I did not like have like that study background of dance, like so
Hmm.
I always reach to the point I'm like, then I need to go back to study this. Then I need to understand what this is. So it was because most of my time I'm always in Uganda, and it was quite challenging because I couldn't find a school that was like dedicated to teach dance to people with disabilities, and even when I found schools, it was for those like the able-bodied people. So, and they weren't like willing to get like, because they didn't understand how to teach you that, because they had a system like, this is how the body should move, this is, so
And you know what? I think it's one of the things about this system. Okay, I'm just gonna say my little 2 cents here. And you probably heard it a million times. Is also this idea that when your body didn't work the way that they thought that it should, and then they didn't know how to teach you, and then they didn't know how to tell you if you're a good or a bad, because in dance we need to feel the power of telling somebody if they do it right or wrong.
yeah, so it made it very challenging, and I really was yearning to know more information about dance because I felt there is something very interesting. What I also didn't tell you, like, I also did fine art during my, I also did this course of fine art. So I used to draw and doing some simple sculptures. So well, through doing all these and learning, like it made a perfect like connection and link, like because I already had that in me, like loving the art and what understanding what art is. I already had an idea of that. So I really was like, I need to know more about this thing called dance. So I started looking where can I get the information. And I'm really very grateful that when I started traveling, I could access some like a lot of information from Europe, about how to move my body, how to understand my body. And I got all this I don't want to call it syllabus. I got all this concept and just put it in my life, and things started making sense and understanding all. Yeah.
Yeah, and you started creating your own choreographies as well, because I remember seeing that video where it's very powerful, fast movement. You're like in the middle of cars.
Yeah, one thing I'll say I'm very grateful for, like with all this traveling, you get to meet a lot of interesting people. You get to meet of different cultures, diverse cultures. And with all this, of course, no, but with all this, you meet people with very interesting knowledge that they'll share with you. And people will be like giving you feedback after being in the same workshop. And this was like an open gate for me to be like, now you understand your body. But what
Mm.
do I do with all this dance? What do I do with all this body? And it turned out that dance is a movement or is a tool that you can use to communicate. And guess what? Who needs, like, I have a lot to communicate. I have a lot to say out to the world. This me. Who has danced? This me. So that's how it started. I'm like, okay, now I'm starting to use my body to communicate. I'm using my body as a voice. I'm using my body to amplify what's inside me, to express me, to, you know, to to connect to the world, to connect to nature. And yeah, so that's how it came that I started choreographing my work and understanding what really dance means. Because I think this helped me a lot because I was curious knowing what the contemporary dance is, but it brought me to the understanding, because my focus was to know what this is, but it brought me to a very good focus of knowing my body,
Mm.
which started to make sense that if I know my body, then I can use any style, any choreography, any technique to find my own voice. But before, I couldn't like I think it would be, I know it would be really hard for someone who is just doing a technique without understanding the background of their body. Because I'll give you this briefly. With all this traveling to Europe, like every time you talked about dance, it was all the ballet dance. And I was like, but what is this ballet? Where does it come from? And to my digging, I was like, this is a traditional, this is something traditional. This has come way far from, and they've been modifying it, mocking it like the modern ballet and trying to beautify it. Then if it's traditional and it has been taken around, guess what? We have our own traditions. And then this brought me back like, we also have these traditions. Let me first go back to knowing what are these traditions, you know. And then when I looked at it, it even became more interesting because like way back before the colonial times, like it used to happen that our ancestors used to come up with ways to communicate to people, to communicate to the king, to make fun, to bring everyone together, to pass message to the young generations. And they used to dance. Exactly, this is what is happening with dance. So then I got even more interesting to know my roots and knowing what are really these dances for, because it turns out like we have 52 different traditions, you know. This brings 52 over dances to the country. So I found that
So
pretty,
wait, so Uganda has 52 traditional dances.
yes,
Wow.
yeah. So I'm like, this is interesting. So I started digging because like okay, I wasn't given time to know ballet, so I'm like, okay, then let me dig what I have. No, it got very interesting, and I feel like it rooted me so strongly to knowing what my body is, why do I move the way I move, why do I think the way I think. This opened up my world in a very different way when I went back to knowing what our generations, like back generations, used to do. Yeah,
Hmm. Wow. That's amazing.
I think so.
Wow. You gotta get back to that research. We gotta write about that. And
No,
like
I'm up. Yes, finish up. Sorry, I cut you.
and in relation to like the disability world and the culture and like how did that those dances back then, like yeah, I mean I know there's a lot of stigma around people with disabilities in Africa, well at least from my experience in South Africa and Benin. But I'm sure it's a similar to Uganda as well. So it would be interesting to look like anthropology wise, like yeah, anyway, what were you saying?
No, I was saying like has has I continued in my journey of life, the more I got more informed about dance and my body, it it even got more interesting because I wanted to be like, okay, people are finding techniques to move in a specific way, but then it it triggered me to start a big research that I've been working on now for now 2 3 years, uh, of how can like how can we find movement, not even finding movements, how can we understand our bodies through dance, and we bring it to the same space when we can all, both people with and without disabilities, end up in the same space, have fun, benefit, and it doesn't have to be like choreographed for a space or created for a specific group of people. Like we can all have the same movement and we're all getting the same benefit, you know. We're all having fun, benefiting different stretches that are both for with and without disability. So this is a very interesting topic that makes me feel that I'm becoming a scientist, because now I'm studying how to learn the body, how it works and all, like the joint, like you know. So no, yeah.
That's so cool. And I also wonder this idea of like how can we create new traditional dances?
I think this is I
Or
wouldn't
maybe
say
we already
new,
do with
but
TikTok.
yeah, because like of course all these things have possibilities. Because look, what I'll give you an example of the ballet, how it has been modified to different. Now it has been modified to different movements, and there's like we just need to understand something and what we need to come out with, and we can create anything with our bodies. It depends on how we want that to look. So it is very possible.
Yeah, okay. So this is amazing. But so from then that time you started traveling more in Europe. You danced in Belgium, Germany, in
Austria,
Holland, in Austria, all
Netherlands,
over.
wherever they
You
were.
came you came to Finland.
Yes, came to Finland.
So Joseph, the last
Yes,
question.
please.
What is some of the dreams? What is your dream? What is your
I'd like
dance
to do
dream?
that.
Do you have like a 5 year dream and then like a 20-year dream? Or
This
is
is
there just
yeah,
like an
yeah,
overarching dream?
this is this is a very Interesting question. Why do I say it's a very interesting question? Because, in the journey of life, when you just move into something, you always immediately, when things are moving, then you always come up with a dream. But as life keeps on going and getting more informed about the specific things, then your dreams start to change. You're like, then I was dreaming small here, and then the more you keep on going, you're like, actually this won't create impact. My dreams, for me, I'm being selfish. So these dreams are what I'm telling you this, because my dreams have kept on changing, but I know what I want to do. So for example, like my 5-year plan is, when I come up with all these, like when I finish the research I'm working with like I'm working on at the moment, because I've been involving universities and sharing my research with different professional dancers, non-professional dancers, even not dancers at all. All this research I've been creating, I would love to to put it together and come up with a style, and come up with a movement, a practice that can bring people together without someone feeling, there is translation in dance and all that, but without having to think, if an instructor is leading a workshop or a class or a movement, when they don't have to say, like, this group did this specific movement and the other group do the specific movement. Because I feel there is potential. We just need to understand our body and know what the benefit are we even getting out of it. It is very possible, and I'm very happy about my research, because it has been showing me success fruit, like fruits are already out there. I see inside it. So my year plan, like, I'm like, after all this research, I want to come up with a book. Yes, I want to come up with a book, like talking about what I really, all the information I've gathered through my experience, and what I really think dance is. So I want to use all this feedback I've been, because every workshop I teach, everywhere, I collect feedback from the group, and I'll keep doing this until I feel like now I'm ready to put it all together and put it out there, because I feel the world needs this information. So this is my 5-year plan. I also have a dream of, I really would be happy if I come up with a space where people can collect all the information. If they want to know who is a disabled dancer, how does their body move? Or if someone wants to know, like, the information I struggled to get, I'd love to have a space where someone can easily access this information. Easily. And the space could have an accessible studio where you can easily find time to work on your body. So I also have the dream of doing all this. And
Would that be in Uganda?
yes, I'd love to do this in Uganda, because the reason why I'm thinking of Uganda is, practically, you can't get all these curious and these people who are willing to learn and bring them to Europe. That
Right.
is technically gonna be hard.
Mhm.
Because, for example, I'll give my example myself. I've traveled, my passport is and I still try so much to get the visa. And I've traveled, and they still ask me, are you gonna disappear? Are you running in our country? I'm like, but if I wanted to do that, I wouldn't, look, I've been to Amsterdam, I've been to every place you say it is the dream of the world. I've been there, and I've chosen to go back home. So I'm here for work, sir. Then dance for me. I'm sorry, that was stupid. I'm sorry.
No, that's
So yeah, no, but it's true. It's true. People ask, like they ask me to dance at the migration. They do. They ask me, and you're like, "Excuse me, I need space. I need space to dance for the office." It's true. So yeah, yeah. And my fantasy dream, I love to call it fantasy dream because it's really big. I would love to create a theater in Uganda, a dance theater in Uganda. Yeah. I feel there is so much to teach my fellow Ugandans because I've met artists. This started growing in me because when I was in Europe and you're always given like tickets, oh you're welcome. There is a show for an African person. You should go watch it and maybe. But all this most the good shows I've seen, but most of the shows I saw, I couldn't connect to them
Mm,
simply because I always go give feedback and share with them. They just go to the movement. They know,
mm,
all these, they call it prière and all these susu, all these movements. So like there is potential to communicate with body, through your body. But if you really didn't understand your body and where the movement is coming from, then it's hard for me as an African to relate what
mm,
you're communicating. Because sometimes I've even asked some artists from Africa, like, but what is ballet to you? And like, I've been doing it since I'm kid, but what is it to you? Do you know where it's coming from? And they don't know. They're just doing a movement because they don't connect to it. And I think that's the beauty of dance. Because the more you understand and connect with something, because with all my movements I've come up with, it's more of excavating what's already inside, not doing what's already been told, like left, right. It's like, how do you want even your movement to look? How do you want it to how do you want it to make your audience feel about that movement? That's the beauty of the body, because it gives you all this opportunity. Like you can create something that makes an audience to feel a specific way. So that's why I feel like, no, we need to go back to understand. People can learn whatever they want to learn.
right.
But I think it's important to first know your roots, like, because everyone has the way they're coming from. If you understand that, things will make sense, you know. Yeah.